Well, hi, everybody. This is Dear Mama Sal live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And, maybe you don't have any. Hi there, Charlotte. Good to see you. Maybe you don't have any. And, Charlotte, perhaps you'd be good enough just to hang around for a little while. I know Jodie's got an issue, and I just wondered whether you'd be kind enough just to uh, be there for me for the first little while until Jodie gets here. I'm not sure how long. It might be an hour. Could you handle that? All right, so for the rest of you, a very warm welcome to you. Um, I today am going to give you an update on, well, there she is. That didn't take an hour. You are relieved of duty, Charlotte. There's Jody, who is our regular admin. Anyway, we'll be talking about a bit more about my hydroponics and my seedlings and things like that, because I know you guys like to see that. A bit more about that. Do you talk in a toxic language or a supportive one? And again, some more examples for you that I hope will make you realize, hang on a second, I could say that better. Think, and get you thinking before you speak a few times in the story of my life. Open mouth, put foot in it. Anyway, and then some more about spring cleaning and stuff I'm thinking about for the future. So when I say that, it's just like, if you want to do stuff, it's a good idea to think about it a little bit before you do it to work out, do I need anything for this? And I'll explain to you why I'm saying that. For birthdays, I just wanted to say that oh, Jeannie wrote to me from Boston. She's actually on her way back to Maine as we speak. She might actually have got there already. I'm not sure. Anyway, but she went, as some of you know, she went for the Auschwitz exhibition that was there, or and it was amazing. She sent me this quote, and let me get it up so I can read it. Just need to get it big enough so I can read it. There we go. I might be able to read that. And I thought you guys would really like to hear this, and it makes you think about it, right? You who are passing by, I beg you, do something, learn a dance step, something to justify your existence, something that gives you the right to be dressed in your skin, in your hair. Learn how to walk and how to laugh, because it would be too senseless after all for so many to have died while you live doing nothing with your life. And that's from the Auschwitz exhibit. So I wanted you to get a feel of just how emotional that is. Yes, exactly. Very moving. And I really thanked her for sending me the quote. And I said I will use it in today's exhibition, today's broadcast. She was also keen to let you know that the exhibits were not marred with protesters, which was very good. All right. Yeah. Charlotte's saying, Jeannie doesn't go far from home very often, so she was surprised that she went. Yes, that's quite a journey for her, isn't it? Especially on her own. So there we go. I don't believe we have any birthdays this week. So if you are a regular Dear Mama Sal viewer, or if you are a listener, or some people listen to as a podcast, I just wanted to let you know that if we've missed it, it means it's not in our database. And if you it doesn't matter whether you're in the chat all the time. If you listen to the replays or watch the replays afterwards, feel free. And by the way, for those of you who go for a walk, go for a walk listening to us. And if you like us, give us a thumbs up. If we say anything that's of value to us, give us a thumbs up. And, remember to click on that bell so that it'll tell you when we're doing a broadcast if you're not a regular. And that sort of thing. Okay, Jodie's saying we believe that she was actually, Jeannie was going with a friend. I'm glad to hear that. That would have been good. So I'm going to say thoughts and prayers for all who need them, including Angela, who had her fur baby Kendall pass this week, which is really sad. And particularly, I was started off by having really good news for you, and that was that Lauren's mom is out of hospital and got home and doing well. But within the last hour, I've just heard that she suddenly had a problem, um, and the paramedics have been called in, and apparently she's managed to perforate her colon in some way. And now they're just trying to work out whether or not they need to operate or whether they can, um, just handle this with antibiotics. And the reason that the operation is a not necessarily so thing is because she suffers from COPD. So therefore, putting her under anesthetic is, a risk for her. So yes, absolutely. Thoughts and prayers to everybody. And thank you so much, all of you who, do put in your prayers, because we've seen that they work. So there we go. Let's get on to today's subject. And I wanted to start with a quote that I saw. And it said, oh, by the way, it's from my favorite monk, the one that gave us smile, breathe, and go slowly. Thich Nhat Hanh also said, "We humans have lost the wisdom of genuinely resting and relaxing. We worry too much. We don't allow our bodies to heal, and we don't allow our minds and hearts to heal. So give yourself space and time to heal." Very, very wise man. I love his quotes, and I see them all the time. All right, as we're moving into hydroponics, I found a quote that was relevant to that, and then I'll get into talking about it. It says, "Nature does not hurry, and yet everything is accomplished." And that's from that other famous and very good, well-known monk, which was Lao Tzu. And so I thought that was so true, isn't it? If you think about it, when we're rushing to get everything done, remember nature does everything at a given time. All right? It doesn't, I believe you me, I've tried. If you try to grow seedlings in December, it's really difficult. I don't care if it's inside and undergrow lights and all sorts of things, it's much more difficult. You plant seeds in April exactly the same way, and I'm going to show you how I do it. They will pop up in a week. It's like weird. Nature has a time and a place for everything. And so what I wanted you to do is to be very aware. So let's have a look here. For those of you who've been watching my experiment with the cabbage, I had to put it in a different container because the roots have grown so much that it needed more space for the roots. Isn't that incredible? That's just a regular cabbage that came in. And what I did is I put water, I used it for about nearly a month. All right. And then I thought, I wonder what would happen now that it's getting low down. What would happen if I put it in water? And so I don't know if you can see, but the water is just at the root level. It's not flooding it. It's just at the root level. And you will be amazed how much water this sucks up in a day. I change the water every couple of days just because. And look at this. I got beautiful green leaves again. And cabbages grow from the inside out. So the experiment is this. I put on here March because that's when I got this lettuce. It's already a month old. Let's see how long it lasts me. And the question that I have is if this really does work, and I think it will, would a couple of cabbages a year work for me rather than wasting all that I waste because I buy a cabbage that is too much for me? Does that make sense? I'm trying to see how can I do this better. And now last week you saw me, or Friday, you saw me talk about that if you're going to buy basil, you can either buy a plant or you can buy a little pod like a packet like this, or you can buy the herbs. Now, when you in a bottle, when you buy the bottle costs as much as this. Why buy the dried if you can have the fresh? Okay. The next thing is these are fresh, but why buy these when you can have the plant that keeps the gift that keeps on giving? Now, what I did is I took the sage. This is the sage, and it was a big thing of sage. I am busy drying. I am drying these leaves that came because there were quite a lot that came with it, and I'm drying them because I'm not going to be able to use them before they're. So how did I dry them? I just wrapped them in paper like that. Okay. Well, they're doing quite nicely. All right. So, and they will stay there for probably at least 2 to 3 weeks. Right. And I got them in a paper bag, a sandwich bag. The reason is this is great for drying stuff. Keeps the bugs off them. And if there's any extra moisture, it will absorb it. Make sense, all of you? And then I did the same with the basil. For the English viewers, we call that basil. The same way it's in paper towel. Oh, that's nearly done. Look at that. That's already, yep. Let's give that another week and it'll be absolutely dried. And then I will just pulverize it. Just pulverize it and then keep it for the fall whilst using the fresh stuff while we can. Now, I wanted to show you the next thing. And the next thing was, this is the sage. And what I did was, I try not to drop this all over my computer again. But I just want to see, right, so I got a lot of stalks that came when I bought it like fresh. Smells so good in my house. So what I did is I took these leaves off. Can you see that? There were leaves here. All right. Now, the reason is that's where, if it's going to grow roots, that is where the roots will grow from there. Got it? So I did the same. By the way, this is looking quite healthy. I was quite surprised. See that bit at the bottom there, that bit there? That's where the roots will grow. And this one's got a little bit at the bottom. Let's see if it works. Okay, so we did this on Friday, and I didn't put a date on it. April 26. Okay. So again, remember that the living plant costs the same as a little bottle of dried. All right. And now then, does it make sense that if I wanted to, I could take one of these now, take the extra leaves off it and start another one. But first I'm going to see if this one works. Okay. Now, the next thing is I wanted to show you the little system I've got for getting seedlings going now. It's taken me a while to learn this. First of all, I put these seeds in on the 20th. All I did was take a little bit of toilet tissue at the bottom, I think 2 squares, all right? And then put about a thimble of water in there, sprinkled the seeds in, and look at that. We're talking a week later. But now you can see they're getting a bit leggy. You're right, they're getting, look what I did to my finger. They're getting a bit leggy. So here's what I do next, okay? I've got a mixture here of my special garden soil, all right? And, oh, wait a minute, I didn't see it. Charlotte's saying she had an episode today. I was dehydrated badly and my mind was not in line. I'm resting now and water is being consumed. I want to tell you, I had no idea how important hydration was. Another thing Jody taught me. I think I'd like to get rid of that, but I'm not sure it's going to go very easily. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so here we are. So here they are. I've got this soil. Can you see that? It's very fine because I put it through a fine sieve. All right. And what I'm going to do is just sprinkle it on top. Even if it's covering some of those smaller seedlings, because I want them to get stronger before I take them out. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've basically completely covered except for those two there. All right. These are Sweet Williams. They are flowers, not herbs. But I love the smell of them. Okay, so now I'm going to take a spritzer and make sure I got all that new earth damped on. And you can see how far the water is going down. Can you see that needs a bit more? Yeah, that's getting down now. All right, so that's probably about enough. Can you see it's getting all the way down to here? Here it's already gone down. These are perfect for seeds, yes. All right, so now I'm going to put it back in here. I call this my fake greenhouse, all right? So it's just in a regular plastic bag, and I'm going to put it back in here until I start seeing them come up out of here. So remember, this was on the 20th, okay? And then the same day, I also planted. This is thyme. Time for you to plant thyme. Right, there's thyme. I'm going to do the same thing because it's leggy. We don't want leggy. But we know we've got enough seeds in there that are germinating that we can do this, all right? So here we go, same thing. We just let that settle for a bit. And the third one here, this is parsley, and it's done Zippo at the moment. So we're going to give it another week. See what it does. Good. And keeping it in the plastic means that the condensation, you know, as it heats up during the day, there'll be condensation here, and it'll automatically drop down onto the top. So you're constantly watering the top. Does that make any sense to anybody other than me? So nothing fancy, a fruit cup, some toilet paper, and some seed. Now, Jody, did I hear that you're doing tomatoes? I did as well. Okay. Oh, I've just covered it. Anyway, this was one grape tomato that I cut in half and just squidged into the mixture. Okay. And again, why is this on top? So that the condensation will keep watering the top of it so it doesn't dry out. Not over-watering it, just keeping it damp. And these are poppies coming up. Now, I've got poppies already about to flower outside, but I'm going to do the second batch that will go later. For those of you who've been watching, these are my carrot tops, and I've been adding them to my salads. This is the lettuce that I put in on the 26th, so that obviously hasn't started to get roots on it yet. This one was a bit earlier. That should start soon. I've got some leek bits in there. Can you see they're growing nicely? Very exciting. Okay. So you can see that I've been quite busy. And how many of you can feel the joy I get from nurturing seedlings? Yeah, I know you love to see the progress. That's why, oh, wrong way. That's why I share them with you guys. But I also want you to hear my voice. How many of you can feel that they're like my babies? It's just like I talk to them a lot. Yeah. Right, so. Okay, so good. Right, let me see what is next on our list. Of course, in that time, all my screens went dark. Does anybody know the shortcut to stop your screens going? Oh, I must do that. Jody, could you make a note for me that I find that shortcut, please? I know there is one because a lot of the, you've probably seen it as well. A lot of the recipes have press this button to stop the screen going dark. So we know that there is such a thing. And I just want to know how we can do it for broadcasts. Hello, could you just help me here? Thank you. All right, so I found another quote that said, "It always pays to dwell slowly on beautiful things. And the more beautiful, the more slowly." I just thought that was nice. So the lesson. This is what I said the lesson was for me anyway. If I take the time to learn what I can produce for myself, I will have the joy of nurturing and the joy of less waste. I was getting really fed up that I kept buying stuff and then I was throwing away as much as I was, half of what I was buying because I didn't use it fast enough. So that is why I'm doing that. And the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is spring cleaning. Now, all of you know I've got this incredible greenhouse window. However, my goal for this week is twofold. Number one is to take absolutely everything off that countertop underneath the green, where the sink is, everything off there. And then I'm going to scrub the you-know-what out of it and disinfect it and do all those things, give it a real spring clean. And while I've got absolutely everything off it, the goal is only put no more than 50% back. And if possible, I want to only put back what I would put back if I were having a show house of my home. I'm trying to remember that. I lived like that for 6 months. I know how to do it. I've just got to get back into the habit of doing it, all right? And then 2 other things are on the list for May, all right? See that cupboard there? I'm opening it up so you can see it. However horrifying it is, it's got a second shelf and a third shelf, and they're all as bad as the bottom shelf. Do any of you recognize this problem? All right, so this is where I keep all my tea, coffee, cocoa, stuff like that, right? I am a single person. I live alone. How do I have a cupboard with 3 shelves packed to the gunnels and then still have coffee at the top? Yeah, up there, and then coffee in another shelf. This stuff should not be in my kitchen. It should be in my pantry. The stuff on top is a good place to keep it, by the way. But what I asked myself is, what the, you know what, have I got in there that it is so full? And the answer is too much. Too much what? I've got coffee that is regular coffee and then decaf. That's fine. I've got teas. I've got every variety of tea you can think of in there. Well, not every, but I would think everything from Darjeeling, through to green tea, through to all the herb teas. And then I've got a cubie full of other herb teas as well. Do any of you relate to this? So what I'm doing is I'm going to take that and purge it unmercifully into the stuff that only I use, and put the rest into the pantry on the principle, if I have a visitor and they want Darjeeling or they want orange pekoe or, green tea or whatever, I will go, oh, hang on a second, let me just get some from the larder pantry, whichever country you're in. All right? So I'm going to do a major purge, or I will put some of the more likely, like the Earl Grey, that some people like, high up, all right? And only keep that bottom 2 shelves for what I use and make it neat and tidy. Big thing. This is May. And then there's one other thing I'm doing. I'm going to clear absolutely everything out of the greenhouse window. Absolutely everything is going. Going to give it, I did it at the end of the winter. I'm now going to do it again because it's getting too hot now, or it will do within the next few weeks. Getting too hot there for plants. All right. We know that gets up into the 140 or something ridiculous temperature. So we don't want to be putting plants there anymore. It's all right to have them here, but not in the greenhouse window. So what I'm going to do is, what am I going to fill it with for the summer? Right? Because otherwise it's wasted real estate. Do you agree? If I empty it and don't use it for something. So I had this idea. Very dangerous. I don't know about you, but I keep thinking one day, not so far away, maybe in the next 5-10 years, I'm going to have to downsize to half again. So I'm going, what I want to do is have, I kept saying, what I want to do is have like one of those farmhouse things where you just put your plates up and you don't ever put them away, right? You clean them and then you just put them in a rack and then you pull them from the rack when you need them. Do you all know what I'm talking about? And then I thought, the other thing is this. I am inclined to only only use certain things every day, right? And it's probably a couple of plates, 2 or 3 small plates, maybe one big plate. I very rarely, a couple of mugs, maybe knives and forks. And I'm thinking, what if I have one of those dryer racks and I just keep the everyday plates that I use on there so I don't ever put them away? Is that making any sense to anybody? I think it would give me more time in my day if I didn't have to keep putting everything away when I take it out of the dishwasher. What if I just, quickly rinse it and clean it and just put it there rather than even need to use the dishwasher? And what I'm thinking about is something like this, right? And I think that would hold what I use every day. And that is the trick, I'm inclined to eat my meals. There we go. I don't know why, but I'm inclined to eat my meals out of this bowl, right? It stops the food getting cold by being spread on a plate. It's portion control. It's all sorts of things. Yeah, Jodi's saying a smart idea. That's what we do with lunch plates and coffee mugs. Yes, that's what I'm thinking about, Jodi. And this would be on there. All right. So if you can understand that. So that's a lot of work for me in May. And how will I do it? Slowly. All right. Not going to rush it. Now, I've had another thought. I didn't take a picture and I won't because it's chaos there. But if you can imagine, I've got this sort of cupboard, but between that corner and my fridge, and that is, okay. So that countertop is a full arm's length, that countertop between the corner and my fridge. This is not the fridge. This is the door. All right. So there's a full, full this distance. And what I've got at the back are all my gizmos. Nigel the Ninja is there. I've got my juicer there. I've got one of my magic bullets. I got 2 magic bullets for some reason in my kitchen. All that sort of stuff. And it's clever because it's all those sort of things together. And then I had this brilliant idea. I thought it might be. And let me see if I can demonstrate it. Imagine this is the cupboard over there. What I'm thinking is, what if I had a roller blind, all right, that I could just put up, and then when I finished, I can just drop the roller blind down. You get the idea? So then it would just cover everything. Could you hear that? And so I wouldn't be looking at all that clutter all day long, because the blind would be down until I need it. I lift it up, use what I want to use, pull it back down again. That's what I'm thinking. And I think I could do that for about $20, so why wouldn't I? By the way, this, again, is about $20, or a bit more. This might be $30, $40 worth. Yeah, exactly. So it's about containment and having a nice visual. And by the way, I've seen it done in different ways. I've seen it done with sliding doors, which is a great idea. I might talk to Siora and see how much she would charge me to do that. But I think the easiest way, honestly, the cheapest way, would just be have a drop-down blind. And, then when you had a show house, you could just show it as it is and say, oh, by the way, how do you like this gizmo? So, and if they don't like it, they can take it back down again. Not that I'm planning to have a show house this week. So I find this lesson is really difficult to learn about why do I keep everything in my kitchen, when, quite honestly, most of it I do not use on a monthly basis. There's part of me that says most of the tea there probably needs to be ditched, but you know something? Why would I ditch it when I might still need it? And when I say I might still need it, you know what I mean? It's just like people will say, oh, it's not any good after this length of time. That's not true. That's not true. As long as it's well packaged, and teas are normally, individual teas are normally very well packaged, and I've then got them packaged again, it's not getting any humidity to it. It's not getting anything. It's all hermetically sealed. So it probably lasts me my lifetime. But do any of you agree with me? It's so difficult to learn this lesson. In this cupboard, that I've got the computer in. And by the way, people who have visited me who have seen the broadcasts have said to me, can you show me the cupboard? And I go, sure. It's this one. But, this works just beautifully for me, as you know. Yeah, it takes time and patience, doesn't it? And two things when we don't necessarily have. But, what if you saw it as Zen time? All right? I've decided, if I think of it as spring cleaning, it is hard work. If I think of it as Zen time, or for me, it's exercise. As long as I'm moving, it's exercise, right? Because I know my watch is counting the movements. So to me, it's like, okay, let me put some movement in by tidying up and doing spring cleaning. And what I found about downsizing in general, that's why I keep doing things and saying, and only 50% goes back, and only 50% goes back. It's so easy to do. And I can tell you that I downsized this cupboard probably a year ago. And I've got stuff here that I haven't touched. 2 shelves worth of stuff that I haven't touched since then. Yes, Jody, it is exercise and organization and joy. Don't forget the joy that you feel when it's even, I don't care how small it is. I did 2 drawers this week, 2 deep drawers. And it was when I realized what I'd done, I went, are you insane? One drawer would have been fine. And I went, nope, I'm on a mission. I'm going to do the other one. And I'm now at the point where I'm going, I'm going to maybe completely move things around so that it's more efficient, if you know what I mean. So what I love about it is the feeling that I get when I have done a little bit of that sort of downsizing. And there is a feeling of joy, there's a feeling of accomplishment, and I get some steps in. So all good stuff. Jody's saying, I believe that your approach to downsizing is very real, very doable, and makes so much sense. Yes, sometimes, Jody, I want to tell you, I am literally will look at something. I'll look at this, right? Now, this is when I last downsized, I had this to contain things, all right? Now, got way too much of everything here. So the next time I downsize, all right, it's going to be half this again, and so forth, until I've got it. I like this. It said, almost everything will work again if we unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Yes, I'm taking things down by a third or a half each season. All right, I'm trying to. It's taken me nearly a year to go around my house, and I'm about to. I still haven't quite finished in the studio, but all the time I'm doing little bits in there. It's difficult in the studio because until I make more space, I cannot unpack more stuff, right? Right. So Jody's saying it's pragmatic. Nice word. Right. And I respond to a pragmatic approach. I just get overwhelmed too easily. All right. So, but if you say to me, Sal, in the next 10 minutes, could you just work your way through that and halve it? I'd probably say, yep. If I paid you $1 million, could you? Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it'd be a no-brainer for me. And so that's how I think about it, right? So this is what I thought about. And what I thought about, by the way, I use that, and if they paid you $1 million, it tells me what I'm procrastinating on or what is serious, right? Some things I've said, if you paid me $1 million, I still wouldn't be able to do it. Interesting. So here's the lesson. As you get older, and I am obviously, you not only do this with your stuff and have to do it because you keep downsizing, but you also do it with the people around you. And that was something I was thinking about. I was writing this broadcast. I've really downsized the people in my life. And what you realize as you get older, your value is not the number of friends you have, which is, of course, what we erroneously think about when we're at school, right? It's not about the number of friends. It's about the quality of your friends. And I heard one of my neighbors say just last week, I've got the number of friends I need just in this little environment. I don't need more. And I thought, it's really nice, isn't it? Then you realize that you just, you need, if you've got a handful, it's a lot. And, I was thinking my friends range from all sorts of ages and across the world, really. But I choose them very carefully now, right? They're not just because I need friends. And I often said to myself, if I needed another friend, I just have to go out and talk to somebody, right? Because I know then I can make friends quite easily. Now, half of them don't get me, and that's all right. That's, they're lost, not mine. Um, but, half of them don't get me, but the other half, find me fascinating. So, why wouldn't I? So there we go. Here we go. I found another nice quote here for you. This one, listen to this. It says, slow down, breathe, don't rush. Let yourself feel everything you're holding inside: joy, pain, heartache, exhaustion. Feel everything. Listen. Take time to nourish what your soul needs the most. Take 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, a day. Take a break and slow down. How many of you can feel that moment of waiting to exhale? It's just like, yeah, it's okay. But funny enough, I've been slowing down quite a bit. And that's given me the energy to do what I've been doing. Jody's saying, I'm proud to be among the people that find you fascinating. One of the funniest and most lovely people I've ever met. Have had the great fortune to call my friend. Yeah, I'm afraid so. Yeah. And you pay the price. But I am certain neither you nor I ever thought that would be likely when we first met. It was just like, I remember making a mug for Lionel. That funny enough, that's my memory goes back there. I don't know what happened prior to there, but that's what I remember. I know you go back to, I think December time or something, in a different thing. But I know that you really came to the fore when I could feel the love in that mug, and it's good to know it's still around, right? So here we go. Some toxic versus supportive. Now, the reason I do these is because not in any way a guilt trip, but sometimes we just don't know the better way. Don't know the better way to say things. All right, and so what I want you to do is just answer the question for yourself. Which of these two sounds better to you if you were receiving them? Because if you can feel it, then you will be more careful when you say it next time. All right. So, which would you rather hear if you were considering giving something up? Would you rather hear, never give up? That's what losers do. Or would you rather hear, it's okay to let go if that's what feels right to you at this time? Sometimes we need to do that. And if you want to, you can always come back to it later. Which would you rather have heard? Only losers give up? Or that it's okay to give yourself that space, and if you really want to, you can go back to it later. And then somebody says, oh, but you'll never go back to it later. Yes, you will. And you know what? We've got an example here within Dear Mama Sal. Jody, you will remember this. You will remember that a couple of years ago, Lauren was doing uni work, and then she got overwhelmed because of one thing and another, which we don't need to talk about. But she got overwhelmed, and she decided to stop her university course. Now, I was wrong in thinking that she would not go back. You remember that, Jody? And I thought that's such a shame, because if you once leave uni, you probably won't go back. But what, she took a year off, I think, and then got bored and said, I'm going back again. And she's been doing so much better with this new mindset. She just needed to grow a bit, in certain ways before she could knuckle down and do the work. Before, she wasn't doing enough work to do well, and that will make you despondent and not want to go back. But what she did is she realized that she hadn't been putting in the work. This time, she's been putting in the work and she's been avoiding all the distractions. And, it's just been amazing what she has done. And she is doing well. It's quite the opposite of her previous experience. So well done, Lauren. And I love it when we can bring those sort of stories back to everybody. So here's the next one. Which would you rather hear if you were feeling down today? And maybe some of you are. Would you rather hear, stop being so sad? You have so much to be happy about. Sounds like my mother. Anyway, or how would you rather hear this? Would you rather hear, I know it feels horrid right now. You're going to go you're going to go through a rough time, and you will find your way out of this. It may take time, but I'm here for you. Can you feel the difference in the two? And by the way, it's not saying I'll do the work for you and I'll help you and I'll do it. No, it's not codependent. It's about, hey, if that is what you want to do. I used to say to people when they were very judgmental of other people, I said, you do understand that we each travel our own journey. And no two people are traveling the same path. All right? We each have our own challenges, some physical, some mental, some, relationship, whatever. So, it's very, very wrong for us to judge another person because we haven't traveled their road or we haven't, walked in their shoes. So what I try to get people to understand is let them do it their way. Yeah, but I could save them so much time. Yes, but they need to learn it their way, not your way necessarily. So which would you rather hear if something really bad just happened to you? Always look for the silver lining. How many times have you heard that one? Or would you rather hear, shh, that's okay. It's okay to feel angry, and it's okay to be upset. Once you process all that grief, you will sort things out and find your way out of this horrid situation. But know I'm here to help you with other options if you should need them. Just let me know. Jody's saying that gentle support is miraculous, saying, I'll sit with you and just be with you. I can't fix it, but know you're not alone. Yeah. Jody, how many times have you heard that I've had something going on and you can do diddly to help me, except be there for me, which you do a great job of, right? And you're going, yeah, I feel like I'm not being a good friend because I can't do anything. You do miraculously friendly things. And you live that far away from me, across the divide, It drives me nutty. No, Jody, you were already nutty when I met you, so you can't claim that. Not letting you get away with that. Forget that one. Yes, and you're learning that you don't need to do anything other than be who you are and care and tell me you care. All right? And that is really what people forget. People don't want to be fixed, all right? Either if they want to be fixed, then they don't want accountability. They don't want responsibility. But they need to be encouraged to know they will do this in their own time. It'll take a bit of time. And sure, we might do it very quickly a different way. But if they're looking for options, you have them, all right? Because you always do. So let me get the last one of these. Yeah, Jody's saying sometimes I really do want to just be there and put the kettle on. Well, see, that's your big problem. Right? I don't want the kettle on. Brew me another coffee, for goodness sake. Don't put the kettle on. And Jody said, I try to make sure you feel loved, through the miles. Try? No, you succeed. You don't try, you succeed. You know exactly, you're an expert. And the lesson, let's have a look at the lesson here, all right? Everyone goes at their own speed. Yeah? If we keep telling people they are wrong to feel, then we're not helping them. How many of you found that one of the most difficult lessons you had to learn was that it was okay to feel, instead of stuffing it down, instead of going into depression, instead of not letting it out, instead of not venting, instead of not crying or whatever? That the most important lesson perhaps is to know that your feelings are okay. They are what they are, and they are your reflection of what has happening to you from the outside. And also that when you really get some emotional intelligence going, my feelings I can control. I may not want to, because I prefer to be a victim here and there. But the thing is, they're my feelings. Nobody gave them to me. I did that to myself with my cognitive interpretation. The way my mind processed it. Therefore, if it's a feeling, I can cope with it. I just need time to process it. And so if you are telling people not to feel, you are doing them a disservice. Some of you learnt that a lot while you've been here at Dear Mama Sal. And helping them learn how to do that, I think, is a much better alternative. So the lesson is, don't make them wrong, make them right. And if you are making them right, you are being supportive. If you are saying things like, hey, totally understand why you'd be angry. It's going to take a while to process that, but I'll be here helping you do that if that's what we need. I cannot tell you how many people in my life have asked me to give them the answer to something. And I said, I'd love to give you my answer, but my answer is useless. Because my answer is what I would do following the life I've lived. The important thing is, what do you want to do living your life? Because I don't want you ever to think, I wouldn't have done this. It was just because Sal said I should. So if you want options, I can give you a slew of them. But it is your job to choose which road to travel. It is your job to choose which one works for you. And by the way, if it doesn't work, that's fine too. Because if it doesn't work, I'll still be here to give you more options if you forgot some of the ones I gave you before. And you will have learned another lesson. And that's what life is about, teaching us lessons. And so the quote is, slow down, calm down, don't worry, don't hurry, and trust the process, both yours and that of other people. I like that. Now then, my next report back is from Confetti Corner. And for those of you who might be new, Confetti Corner is my craft room where I make a big mess. A really big mess. And one of the things I'm aware of is that every time I go in there, I learn and remind myself of another step, another lesson that I need to learn. And that's the important thing to me, is that I keep learning these lessons. So I consider Confetti Corner to be my personal coach and teacher. You see, Confetti Corner teaches me that the words "what if" lead me to more creativity. Some of you will have heard a bit about that on, I think it was Friday's broadcast that we did. All right. So this week, basically, what I did was I was cutting out the hearts and stars. Hang on a second. Got a lot of things to show you here. So you remember I was cutting this out, and you will Remember, I was telling you that to make that, for those of you who might not have seen it before, let me show you. It is 10 layers of paper. The back layer, the color blue, and then 8 layers of graduated paper, and then the last layer is the frame, the inside the other frame, or the mat, shall we call that, right? So basically, it is 10 bits of paper that you need to line up and get working in the right direction. Now, that in itself is interesting because this week I found out that the order in which those layers were packed when I received it was wrong. There were 2 that were in the wrong order, and I've got to let the designer know that so that she can correct that before she sells it to other people. However, to each one of those layers comes off a sheet like this. So I put the paper on there, and then I cut out. This is the very top layer, this top layer here. And this is what it leaves on the mat, all right? When I take it off, that's what it leaves. And I've been I started off just by throwing those in the garbage, and I went, that's a hell of a waste of paper. There's a lot of paper there. But also lots of pretty hearts and stars. So then I started to put them into bottles, and then I went, no, why would I do that? Jody's saying stunning. There's something so satisfying about it. It's crisp, sharp, and I love the navy background. I love the navy as well. However, Jody, and this is the whole thing, it was interesting because I went, what am I going to do with these? And then I thought, what I should do is make cards out of these. Make sense? Now that took me a week of working on it. And I will tell you how I did it, but this is what I ended up with. This is what's called what if, and then what is the result. How happy do you think I was when I came up with this card? Hang on a second, I don't know if I can get that in the right light for you. Can you see? I'm trying to make sure you can see all the layers. For some reason, that's not showing. Are there layers showing your side? So that is 10 layers of paper on the star, your star. How excited was I when I did that? And then I did the same with the hearts, okay? And so again, I don't know if you can see it if I hold it like that. All right, so 8 layers. And by the way, I also make the matching envelope. Getting good at those now. So very excited about that. But what I realized was that by doing that, this one, cutting this out, also creates this. Don't do that. I told you to stand up. Do what you're told. And this. So by asking what if, I turned the scrap paper from there into 4 cards, beautiful cards. And now, obviously, I had to cut the card stock for the card and make the envelope, but you understand, I've stopped wasting the paper. I've turned it into more practical use. But the reason I wanted to talk about that is because it started off really difficult. Because what I was doing was taking all those hearts and stars off, right? And then trying to match them up again. Not easy. Believe you me. You probably can imagine that wouldn't be easy. So here's what I realized by about Wednesday, I think I got it right, which was don't take them off here. Right? And what you do is, as you take that layer off, keep this on here and put it aside. And in the right order, keep putting them one over the other. And then this is the last one to get printed. So this is the one that I build the rest of the stars on. I put this down, and I take the second one and I stick them all on here. All right? Take the next one and stick them all on. Does that make sense? And then 8 layers later, I will take the whole lot off and then put them on a card. It works, people. Now, how many of you heard me say last week that I would be hesitant to mail these because you're sending a picture frame with glass in it, and that takes an awful lot of packaging to make sure it doesn't break, and that will make it, and it's already a problem enough mailing things. Okay. So, I'm always saying to you, be careful what you think of. Yeah. So what I said was, it doesn't make any practical sense at all to mail a frame, with glass in it because, So then, but I decided just for my own pleasure, I wanted some more frames. And I thought this time I'd actually get a frame that was the way that it was originally designed was to go into an 8x8 frame. So then it would look like this. All right. So now, okay, got it? I don't know about you, but that looks totally different to me. Right? Now the joke is both frames cost about the same. And yet to me, this looks like a much better product than this one, but it could just be me. All right? So, but here was the interesting thing. When I unpacked the frames, I went, wait a minute, that hasn't got glass in it. It's got acrylic. So that isn't glass. That is acrylic. And I laughed and I went, I was complaining about mailing glass. Thank you. Now, here's where it makes a difference, people. Here's where it makes a difference. This is, actually, let me get one of the other frames because I know that I will use the other frames. Hold on. Unless I can find a whole lot of those, I will be using these that I can find at the dollar store. Okay, so here we are. This frame works really well and weighs 1 pound, 5 ounces, fully loaded. For those of you in other countries other than the States, that is basically 600 grams. Okay, that one. Got it? This one is 9 ounces. That's nearly half the weight, otherwise known as 256 grams. So can you see that mailing this might be viable now? This week, what I'll be doing is doing some costings on what would it cost to mail this with it. What my one thing was is to mail it without a frame at all, even better cost, and then let the person who receives it, if they're inclined, find the frame that they want to put it in, which would make it a lot cheaper. But I would need to know, are you likely to put it in an 8x10, or would you like it in a 8x8? But isn't that interesting how the 8x8 makes it look completely different? And if you hadn't seen those, this would still be beautiful. You understand the reality of that. If you hadn't seen those, then the square, because this is what I originally saw and went, I have to make that. Half the weight. Thank you. So put these away. But that's why talking out loud to people, telling people about what you want in life is so important, all right? Because you start saying what you want. I didn't want to, or rather, in some cases, what you don't want. I didn't want to be mailing frames with glass. So now I'm not going to. I thought it was really interesting. So first of all, from the big cut, I learned that I could save the bits and make cards from them. And who wouldn't love to get that card? Either of them, either the heart or the star. And then I realized, I can not only do that, but I can also now do them square, And now, of course, I'm going, well, if they make an 8x8 without glass, then they obviously make the bigger one as well. So I will go back to check that out more carefully. And for those of you who had special requests, Kimmy asked for purple. That's coming this week. And Jody, I managed to find a pack of colors that had the deep purples and also teal for your sister-in-law, if you would like that. Because you know me, I love to do it when I can make your life easier for you. So here's the quote. I found this and it said, slow down and enjoy life. It's not only the scenery that you miss by going too fast, you also miss the sense of where you are, where you're going, and why. And so I've been on a project of late to produce a package that I want to take to florists, and they will include things. You see what I realized? I did a bit of research. And when you realize just how many roses get sold every year, it's not about Valentine's Day, right? And do you know that the cost of a dozen red roses today is $100 Canadian? Jody, could you just Google us a quick, what does it cost in the States for a dozen red roses? What has happened is that local growers are being priced out of the market by overseas growers, in third world countries that are now growing roses and then flying them in. But what it also has done is it's basically put a lot of the local growers out of the market. And what I found interesting is a lot of them are turning their greenhouses into hydroponics and things like that now for vegetables and sustainable stuff, which I thought was really, I'm glad I asked the question. You see, I'm very curious. Should have been a cat, right? I'm very curious. And I went, how many roses do we sell every year? And I was horrified. It's absolutely mind-blowing to see how many. And I'm going, I also thought, what percentage of men walk into a florist shop and buy roses? Right? That was interesting to me because I thought every time I've been to my local mall, I've only ever seen men walk into the flower shop. Right? So what happens is they go, oh, I've goofed up. I better go get some roses. But what happens if they can't afford $100? Right? Then they get another thing of flowers that is different. But I'm thinking, what if they could take something home that was half the price and last forever and not die in a week? And that's the problem with the imported roses, that they nearly always die far more quickly than the locally sourced ones. Yeah, Jody's saying that in the States they're starting about $90. Yep. So starting for a dozen red roses. So anyway, what I wanted to do was to get the hearts and stars to the florist. Say, hey, if you can't afford $100, how about giving them something that will last a lifetime? And that's what I want to find out if they're interested in it. Now, it's a bit scary to do because I want to take them a selection of stuff, a couple of, like a frame thing and some cards for them to test. I want to do some market research. Could you keep it in the store for a couple of weeks, and I'll pop back and see, did you sell any? And if not, then I'll, give you back your real estate. um, but if you did, would you like some more? So this is about, but it's scary to go out there at my age and start being a salesperson again. It's how I started life, for goodness sake, but somehow or other, it's really scary. And I didn't realize how many steps I'm needing to take just to get there, because I got to get all the different products ready and all into a package. I did it for Valentine's Day and it didn't work, but I think I was ahead of myself there, and I didn't go. And I didn't go to florists, which is where I know I need to go. That's what I'm being told. Go to florists. So now when you look at it all, and I want you to look at them, that the lesson is that we should keep being curious. We should keep asking what if. Or what would I like if I clear up my greenhouse window? What would I like instead for the summer? That it won't matter if it gets hot. And I'm going, I'd like to put my plates and stuff there. Right? And then what if I tidy up that countertop that you can't see? When I finish tidying it up, I would like to be able to just drop something down so you can't see it. It would just change it completely. And when I'm pretty good here, but still, I don't use the kettle every day. Why is it out taking up real estate? Right? Those are the questions I keep asking. So I keep getting curious, and I keep looking for less waste, be it in food or in time management or whatever. All right. And it's just, and I need to slow down to do it. Hi, Jonas. Good to see you. And the other thing is, I need to enjoy the process. All right, Jody? It's not about hard work. It's about, hey, I will take my exercise time and use that to downsize something. Knowing that in downsizing, I will be moving. And I know that cleaning is moving. In other words, if it's time spring cleaning the windows, that's movement. Consider it as exercise. Yeah. And it's really, really how you look at things that makes the difference. And again, how many times have you heard me say it's taking up valuable real estate? Right? It's taking up real estate on my countertop. And the reason my countertop looks cluttered is I've got too much on it. There's too much use of the real estate. I need to clean it up a bit. And the same thing with our friends. Or what about your mind? What is your mind cluttered with that needs to be downsized? Okay. Because we know worrying about something doesn't fix a darn thing. Doing something fixes it. So let's slow down a little this week. How about let's go out and get some fresh air? Let's enjoy the spring. Let's take the time to contact a friend, and let's do less on the phone where we're wasting time and more on the phone where we're making somebody else's life better. Or make more time for what's important in our lives, not in everybody else's. Hi, Kez. Kez is saying, what about getting them to also try selling them on their webpage? So also, yeah. Yes, because they might like it for their webpage. Exactly. My biggest problem is how to price it, and I've got to really sit down with a couple of florists and just go, help me here, and help me come to a price that works for retail. Retail is likely to put anywhere from 100 to 200% onto the cost, and my feeling is that they would outprice it. People wouldn't want to buy it at that. But if you're paying $100 for a dozen roses that are going to be dead in a week, hmm. I just don't have that mentality. I need to talk to people who understand this stuff, right? And so I hope you found some things of benefit in this broadcast. If so, then it was worth my while. And if it was, please make sure that you leave a comment or give it a thumbs up or do something that tells me. And by the way, if you got something that you'd like me to talk about, please let me know at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And before we go, I want to reread that statement that Jeannie sent me, because I think we all need to remember these words, all right? And this was found at the Auschwitz exhibition in Boston. And it says, "You who are passing by, I beg you, do something. Learn a dance step. Something to justify your existence. Something that gives you the right to be dressed in your skin, in your body hair, and learn to walk and to laugh. Because it would be too senseless, after all, for so many to have died while you live doing nothing with your life." And the strange thing is, I have found just of late, instead of trying to do as much as possible, I am trying to focus on one thing at a time, knowing that my creative mind will give me 600 things that I need to take note of and keep in a journal so that I can go back there and be inspired by it again, but not right at the moment, because right at the moment I am focused on doing this. And I need to slow down and focus and concentrate and put my energy into this. And that is whether it is something to do with my home, whether that's going to sleep at night, doing the right things so that I can sleep properly. Is it about my lifestyle? Is it about getting enough fresh air? Is it about, if I want to be out getting fresh air, then let me play in my garden. Let me play with the seedlings. All right, that's all fresh air stuff. Doesn't mean I have to go for a 10-mile hike. It means get outside. I did a wonderful job this week. Right? On Thursday, I backed my car out of its carport and into the rain. And then I waited for the rain to stop, which it did after a while. And I went, "Oh, thank you very much, God, for doing the rinse cycle." And then I went out with some soap and a rotating brush, and I went all over my car and sudsed it right up. And then I think I said to Jody, "I'm now waiting to see if God does the rinse cycle now or whether I need to go and do it in about an hour." But I just left it. I didn't do anything else with it. I just left it all sudsed up and went inside. But an hour later, I heard the rain, and I'm going, "Oh, the rinse cycle has started. Isn't that good?" Left it for another hour for the dry cycle to work, and then I brought it inside, back onto the carport. Looks really nice now. But it was fun. By the way, Jody, I cheated. I don't mind telling you that. I realized that a lot of the scrubbing I was doing was energy. I changed my watch from the one side to the other. Now that's cheating. But I knew I was using a lot of movement, and I was going to take advantage of that. So again, have fun while you live your life. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you all so much for being here. And thank you so much for caring enough to care about others. And Jody, thank you for being my admin. And Jeannie, if you happen to catch this broadcast eventually, thank you so much for thinking of us even while you were away in Boston. That was so kind of you. And please do hit the like button and give it a thumbs up. And we'll catch you again on Friday when we'll be talking about coping with feelings. This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have a great week. Make it a great week. Nobody else is going to make it a great week. Only you can. Bye-bye for now.